Receiving gifts is weird. You know, like someone was just thinking of you, or a celebration comes around and they bestow you with this item they believe you'll love. Games, on the other hand, are a bit different, at least for me, as I normally have this checklist of things I'm doing, and throwing another thing into it just makes my brain not work so good. So I thought it'd be fun and productive to do a project like this, just to focus a few gifts I received I hadn't gotten to yet, and see what I've been missing. A fun side note before I get started, on the 28th of November 2021, I was gifted Black Mesa, a Half-Life remake not made by Valve, and I still haven't played it yet, which is kind of insane to me, but it's in the dumpster fire that is my backlog, and I certainly am going to need to get round to that. I'm going to get this out of the way first by saying 1000 Resist is one of those games that are best to go in blind. Not knowing an ounce of what the story is guiding you through builds curiosity and leads you to question if you understand what is happening around you. So with that said, I'm going to do my best to avoid anything spoiler related while still highlighting the key elements used in this game that captivated me to roll credits. The game starts off with a cinematic moment that's shrouded in mystery as to why it's happening, but is written in such a way that piqued my interest instantly. It didn't feel like shock factor simply to grab my attention, but more of an interesting way of throwing you into the world already hungry for answers to what's going on. During your search to answer these questions, you're welcomed into a hub area that gives you the freedom to explore your surroundings and learn about the history already deeply embedded into the society by talking to other residents. Some bring to light the reason why things are the way they are, while others bring a normality about their surroundings to reinforce the idea that this place is safe. An important thing to know that's further explored through the narrative in a more informative way. The direction of the story is very much on board with trying to make you feel connected to characters that are already fleshed out, and asking you to interact with them to gather a sense of how and who they are. This is handled well as it's not trying to make you friends with insufferable characters left, right and centre, but to make your own opinion on everyone you meet. I thought it was interesting to see how these characters bend their roles in a way that makes them feel more human. I really enjoyed the art direction of the world, like they have these really happy moments filled with colour and warmth, which can be instantly stripped away for this bland grey and white that captures this cold loneliness. I didn't feel the character art style. I like the design of them, and I'm sure the concept art of them is awesome, but in game they just never felt right. But that's simply what I feel. I'm sure plenty of people liked it, it's just not for me, sadly. The music, on the other hand, is something I am 100% behind. Like, there wasn't a moment I wasn't keeping my ear ready for the subtle change or feeling the impact of scenes unravelling tenfold, because it's being carefully paralleled with a somber melody that captures the emotions of the story. Then you get more upbeat tracks that carry the rhythm of whipping yourself around with urgency of what's going on during those sections. I haven't really talked about gameplay, and that's mainly because I personally think the gameplay is the weakest element of this game. It's not that it's bad at all, but it's basic and used in a way from getting you from scene to scene to explore the story further, which I have nothing against, but you can tell that it's not the most important feature of 1000 Resist. They have some interesting mechanics that help unfold the story or get you from scene A to scene B, but overall I think what they have fits perfectly with this narrative experience, and should be seen as a tool that gets you invested in the character that you're controlling. 1000 Resist was one of those titles I saw briefly, thought that's cool, and then added it to my wishlist before forgetting it existed. Having this gifted to me was such a change of pace from games I was currently playing, and made me realise that sometimes I don't need to be shooting people, diving through windows, gearing up and preparing for the next encounter. It reminded me that sometimes it's nice to just slow things down, sit back and take your time uncovering what lies beneath, which 1000 Resist did a solid job at. It's not a game to throw on and rush through, as taking your time to explore and learn the world fleshes out the experience and leaves a lasting impression. So Indra, thank you. It was a wonderful experience that I won't soon forget. What the Golf begins as a simple and normal peaceful game with your objective being to get your ball in the hole. Instantly after the first hole you're met with a wacky and weird conditions that follow the same objective, but now you're trying to get the golfer in the hole, or the club, which continues to ramp up in oddness as you progress through the lab zones and areas. Each new hole you experience gives that sense of wonder of what's the ball this time, and you realise that it's a barrel or a car or a house. Through 80% of this, me and my girlfriend were just laughing at how bizarre the game was while also being simple. Like, it doesn't take itself seriously and it just lets you cruise through the zones at whatever pace you please. The soundtrack's incredible as well, as it parodies a multitude of different songs, but they're good, like really good. They have a Super Mario inspired song, which I'm almost certain is like 90 to 100% a cappella, and keeps saying, "What the golf?" And yeah, it was stuck in my head for a few days. Each zone has end boss computers that you have to beat to move through the facility, which are locked behind switches that require you to beat the courses, which are also locked behind switches. And while this sounds like it's a boring process when explained, it flies by so quickly as you play. It is fantastic as one of those games you can pick up and play for a bit without feeling you need to get invested. But if you want to get invested, you can revisit holes and beat the par and earn yourself a gold crown if you beat the final challenge on the hole, which when all are earned, grants you a trophy that goes towards the 100% of the game. And this is where loads of the content is hidden behind, so it's well worth diving in and seeing what it has to offer. Plenty of levels are nods to established franchises like Mario, Superhot and Portal, while others have you clowning around with bowling, carrying the Olympic torch and using planet's gravitational pull to pull the ball down into the hole in space. And this is all within the main game. There are episodes and dailies to take part in, with leaderboards and even a level editor for those who want to make their own challenges too. The game is filled with so much to do for such an affordable price. I saw in the main menu that they had a game called What the Car, so I went and checked it out on the website, and it's just the same vibes with different mechanics involved. Like, they make silly games with all these nods to the fact that this isn't golf and won't help you drive. Look at this. I mean, it's not even advertised in any shape or form as something that's even trying to be a golf game. It's just hilarious. But I hate golf, so do we. This game is made by people with no clue about or respect for golf. Enjoy. It's just so fun. They even have a VR game called What the Bat, where your arms are baseball bats, and I don't know what it is exactly, but I find it so amusing that you have this goofy, light-hearted, comedic branding winning me over, where AAA titles struggle to capture any interest. I don't feel like I'm difficult to win over, or at least pique my interest with games, but there's something so charming about this. Earlier I said What the Golf was simple, and I feel that's half true. It's more that it's displayed in a simplistic way. The art style, music and sound effects are all leveled in their quality, which just makes the game feel that way. And in doing so, the game feels more fun than something that could have been way more complex. I can't say that I find myself playing games like this often, but it's always a breath of fresh air when I do. What the Golf is packed with tons of content to just enjoy at whatever pace you like. I can't explain it properly with articulated words, but this dumb fun game just made me laugh and smile as I played. So, to my wonderful girlfriend, thank you. I may not have played it during my low point when you got me it, but it was definitely worth experiencing. Sea of Stars is one of those heartwarming together we can overcome this kind of story. An angle I've never really been a fan of, but somehow this game made it work. It takes you on a journey alongside Zale and Valir, two children of Solstice, who study at the Zenith Academy to become Solstice warriors to destroy the Flesh Monster's creations. They're accompanied by Garl, a childhood friend who wishes to join them on their adventure and make sure that they are well fed. This trio overcomes many challenges and meets a cast of characters that are varied in terms of skills and personality. While I wasn't a huge fan of some of the characters, they ended up growing on me, and I was invested in seeing how their involvement would pan out. I didn't expect to love how this retro-styled RPG played, but overall the puzzles were rather simple and the turn-based formula had a few extra options tacked on to keep me engaged in combat for extra impact and reduced damage. I honestly thought this game was going to be like so many other JRPGs where you walk around out of nowhere, random encounter. I don't mind it if it's what I'm signing up for, of course, but I was pleasantly surprised when I stumbled across some enemies and instead of being thrown into an encounter arena, the game just made the location we were in a battle zone. It made it more immersive than I expected. Puzzles are not my thing at all. Like, I can do them, but overall I prefer not to, but Sea of Stars hits the sweet spot in difficulty with them. They're easy. They have puzzles that don't ask too much of you, so there's no need to pull out your hair. The combat follows this pattern also, as everything is displayed to you with an easy to understand layout, with the lock system being a primary focus during fights. Being able to prevent your enemy from attacking you by breaking the locks was a game changer in my eyes. I'm unsure if this is a new system that's only present in Sea of Stars, but I thought it was an incredibly creative choice and was my favourite feature of the game. Leveling up through the journey was well handled too, with it never really feeling like you're leveling up too fast or slow. I assume this is simply because you aren't being bombarded with random encounters every 5 steps, but it just feels well crafted, having areas for you to travel through with enemies placed down for you to fight through. Maybe it's because I'm not a huge fan of being halted so often, but yeah, I particularly enjoyed this. Exploration is your best friend in this game, as you'll stumble across new weapons, armors and rings, which all give you better damage, better defense and some additional bonuses that help with encounters to go more smoothly. There are also relics which come with buffs and nerfs to make the playthrough an easier or more difficult time. And lastly, you'll find collectibles or materials that can be taken to vendors and sold. The game straight out tells you this too. If you highlight an item in your inventory, it will tell you if it's meant to be taken to someone or sold, minus a few for story reasons. Later into the playthrough, I'd unlocked combo attacks and ultimate moves that are so flashy and extra, which had me eager to find them all and see how they turned out. These heavy hitting combo attacks could be used to focus on a single enemy or all of them, while the ultimate attacks just destroy the field. To put it plainly, the game has combat that's engaging, puzzles that don't feel like a chore, and a world filled with plenty of things to find to help you on your way. When it comes to the art style and the world itself, it looks beautiful. The use of colour and lighting in each location brings an ever-present tone to where you are standing. Be that at the top of a cliff or deep into a cave, the zones you travel through always look pretty artistically. The dynamic lighting and weather conditions all feel so seamless too. I love how the world looks during the day and night, as both capture an essence of what time it is, while still finding a way to make the surroundings look beautiful. But the lighting is also used as a game mechanic, which is threaded throughout the narrative as well. During the story, you'll be treated to these animated cutscenes that really paint a picture of how important these moments are. While some of them are deep into climactic events, some are also just to show you the area, to give you a representation of what the area is meant to look like. Some of the world building comes in such a subtle way at times. Early on in the game, when everyone is young, Garl's talking about a legendary tale. I just saw it as a fantastical story told by children that are excited about the world they've never seen, which made it awesome to visit said location later on and see the legend of the story firsthand. Throughout this entire experience, you're accompanied by a soundtrack that never fails to miss a beat. Joyful melodies in the security of towns to intense battle encounters, the music is always there, capturing the tone of the game, with the boss fights being where the best tracks are used. Don't get me wrong though, the quiet moments are just as magical with how they match the narrative points that are unfolding. I personally just really enjoyed the boss music. Beating the game and getting to resume from the save just before the final boss was a lifesaver in my opinion, as I thought to see the true ending I was going to need to start from the beginning and work my way through to that point again. Thankfully you can just load up your save and are free to go complete any necessary criteria to get the true ending. While I do feel the standard ending is a heartwarming conclusion to the story, it's well worth the extra time to go polish off any quests and see what the true ending has to offer. The game recently added multiplayer features, new cutscenes, and introduced Combat 2.0. With all this added also came new map features to help keep track of locations that have been completely explored and looted for collectibles or not. Anyone going for the true ending and achievements, this is an awesome addition. In the game there's a crypt that is filled with all the backers who funded the game through Kickstarter. Each backer got a code that corresponds with where their name is, so they can find themselves in the game. I thought this was such a creative way of immortalizing those who supported the project. While working through the game, I felt like I was getting close to the end, so I put everything on hold and went and explored and gathered collectibles. I got weapons and gears from side content that left later area rewards insignificant. I battled optional bosses that's designed stood equal with the mainline antagonist, and soon I realised that I was trying to prevent myself from rolling credits. I don't see myself picking up the game again for a while. I was having such a blast, so getting the most out of this playthrough was my main goal, and I'm happy I did that. There are moments that are serious, goofy, impactful and heartwarming scattered across this wonderful story. Sea of Stars was an unexpected delight that broke all my expectations and showed me what kind of games are hidden away in a genre I don't play. So Bez, thank you for gifting this experience that will stand the test of time for me. These games were fantastic from start to finish, with their own blend of creative choices that made them all worthwhile. 3 game genres that I normally don't play and 3 unique experiences that I enjoyed. 1000 Resist, a narrative experience that held me in my feelings as I explored the story that made me question if I made the right decision. What the Golf, a creative goofball of a game that had me laughing for hours at the sheer lack of respect for golf. And Sea of Stars, a heartwarming journey across the islands, meeting companions and fighting back against the corruption threaded through time by the Fleshmancer. Each one of them being worthy of every second of my time they had, and frankly surprised me with the quality of games they were, and it was completely unexpected how much I'd enjoy playing them. I am very grateful for these gifts, so thank you again. Turning this into a video idea was mainly to organise my brain to help me focus getting them done, but also so I could talk about them a little too, kind of like a mini review of my time with the games. If you enjoyed the video, then leave a like, subscribe if you wish, and leave a comment. Let me know if you've played any of these games and what you think about them, or just what you thought about the video. Anyway, I hope you have a lovely day and or evening, and I'll catch you next time.